types of sports with Shoot and Tor. Football discussion on the internet.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. What a good day to have some football discussion on the internet, unless you're a Falcons fan. Wow. Unless you're a Carolina Panthers fan. Unless you're a Bears fan, although I guess they got on the board. Welcome to both types of sports. We're doing a little game day. I think what I said, Tor, is that you and I are getting Eiffel Towered by the 1 p.m. and the 4 p.m. games. Like we're on the fucking rotisserie in between the two, and we're just getting fed that hog.
Feels like it.
Yeah, but in a good way, right? Like it's not a negative thing.
It's better than being Eiffel Towered by a kicker and TJ Watt, which is currently what's happening in Atlanta.
Yeah, it's better than being Eiffel Towered by every fantasy football instinct you've ever had in your life, because I got about 90 points sitting on my bench like a fucking jackass. And I just don't know how you avoid it, Tor. Every season, I just look at my bench and I'm like, oh, Zach Moss scored. I didn't start him. Oh, Jalen Waddle's got a $120 and a touchdown. I didn't score him. I didn't start him. Jesus Christ.
Raheem Mostert scored 21 touchdowns last year. I draft him, and he won't touch the ball this season.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 19 of which happened on the bench of your fantasy football team.
No, it's just every instinct is wrong. I suck.
Oh, Pats are much improved. I don't think they are, Danny Diaz. I don't think they are. I think you're being a silly goose. Welcome. We won't we're not going to step on the toes of the 4 o'clock game, but there's so much going on. Tor and I talked about maybe doing one of these shows every once in a while. We'll see how it goes. You know who I talked to today about doing this time slot with me if you couldn't make it?
I'll go with who would know ball in your audience.
I'll give you a hint. He's not in my audience. He's a guy that you would assume hates my guts.
Oh, Drab?
No. That was fucking so quick. You're an asshole. Why would Drab hate me? Well, why wouldn't
I don't
know? That was lightning quick. Holy shit. I'll give you a clue. You want a clue?
Oh,
yeah.
What?
Yeah, I believe he might be willing to come on next week. Talk some football.
Man.
I know. Big day, man. We'll have to see if it happens. So I woke up this morning and I did the bit where I alcoholically woke up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, let the dog out. Then I'm like, I have to go lay back down. I was I was worried I'd be too excited for football, but I was able to fall back asleep and instantly regretted it because I wake up and my phone, I'm like, well, there can't be. I look down. Dak's got a new deal. Tyreek Hill is face down on the asphalt out in front of the fucking Dolphins stadium. Justin Fields is starting for Russell Wilson. I was like, how can we have Armageddon after those 2 crazy fucking games we had already? The NFL is the gift that keeps on giving.
It's the best slop for all of us to enjoy. And I think that you and I can deviate from the most general and generic slop that they give out. But today was just, it doesn't feel like a Sunday. It feels like a Saturday with all the news and the action breaking. Thinking that tomorrow's Monday, it's not even in my realm because there's so much that happened. And Thursday and Friday are getting dwarfed, and those were massive games.
Why couldn't we spread? I always say this whenever I see Ryan Reynolds with his shirt off or Blake Lively in a bikini. I'm like, couldn't we take some of that good lookingness and give it out to the rest of us that are just average schlubs? I'm not even talking about really unfortunate looking people. Just make your average schlub like go from a 5 to a 6.5 instead of having these 2 people be 19s. I felt that way about the NFL over the past couple of days. I'm like, we have to have this nail biter with Isaiah Likely having 1 toenail out the back of the end zone. Jordan Love's got to blow his fucking leg out. And you have this gong show of a running back face off down in Brazil and all the shit that happened before we even played one down a ball today.
Yeah, it was madness. Happy to see, I guess, just to touch on it, that Jordan Love's is not a season-ending injury per the initial reports. The PCL is supposed to be 3 to 6 weeks as the expected timetable of return.
It's a lot of time, brother.
It is a lot of time, but I think Packers fans should feel, in that circumstance, lucky that he's not out for the season and lucky that it wasn't a totally demonstrative injury for Jordan Love.
Well, watching Kirk Cousins do everything he can to drop the ball on the field and put it into the gut of opposing team secondary, maybe tack an extra couple of weeks on it, because they were throwing up all these stats, Tor, about how he's the quickest guy to recover from that injury and come out and play the next season that the league has ever seen. And then I'm like, oh, that's because he looks like the boss man out there running a fucking offense.
This one's gonna hurt. There was expectations for this game. This will hurt me like I haven't been hurt by this team in years.
I gotta say, man, Justin Fields looked like dog shit when he first came out. He fumbled the first snap. Like, they're like, Justin Fields they can do things in this offense they can't do with Russell Wilson. He puts the ball on the carpet. They have to call timeout. But he is moving around, and George Pickett, he has chemistry with that dude.
Yeah.
And if Arthur Smith goes into the dirty with fucking 45,000 Steelers fans in that building, I mean, when Pat Freiermuth catches a fucking 7-yard dig, that whole building erupts. I mean, that is going to be, I know it's just week 1, and the theme of this episode should be week 1, keep it in your pants. That's going to fucking sting in a way that other losses weren't if Atlanta goes on to lose that one.
It's going to change my whole game plan for the afternoon. Right now, if Falcons win, it's going to be, okay, wings and fries and some nice big beers. And now it could just be like pita bread, some bullshit hummus, just to really soak in the sorrows. Something I can't celebrate. I couldn't have I can't have a celebratory wing day for football if my team keeps on hitting their own the flankers in motion with the football and fumbling it on the ground.
My team looking decent. Will Levis actually has had a couple of nice throws. Tony Pollard came to play. He was popping in the preseason tour, and it looks like that guy still got juice left in the legs as we watch the Dallas Cowboys.
Fast.
The Dallas Cowboys are going to drop Ezekiel Elliott and Dalvin Cook out against the Cleveland Browns. Good luck 2015. So I don't know. They still got some work to do, and I'm of a mixed bag about this tour. Like, I don't like the orange nail polish. Like, I don't like some of the shit but the Bears being good. How many times have you and I said this? If you're a football fan, you want the Bears to be competitive and to go out there and play football well. And this is a rookie, despite all the comparisons that we're talking about with Pat Mahomes the entire offseason. Everybody couldn't keep it in their pants. He's going to need some time, and he's still shown some flashes. But even if they don't hold on to win, impressive. Nobody expected anything from the Titans and them going into Chicago, especially after our buddy Brian Simmons was talking that shit this offseason. A pretty good performance by them thus far.
Their defensive line has looked good. Simmons impacting a lot. I don't know if I'd have Big Boy Sweat out there on real pass rushing downs. There are a couple times where it's taking up 2 blockers. That's great, but he's kind of just at the line of scrimmage. Titans look good. The Titans look like a team that has been playing winning football before. The Bears are going to have to take some time to learn how to win, which is a bummer because Caleb Williams, what we saw in preseason, it seemed like it was going to be one of these instant rookie, all right, get them on track, teach them how to win. But the ineptitude of the Chicago Bears has put them in such a hole where they're going to have to relearn how to win football games as a whole unit, or else they're just going to keep on dropping and floundering and not getting to where they need to be.
I don't know what's going on with Cincinnati other than the fact that Jamar Chase was out of his mind with his contract thing, and I guess unwilling to not play, but I want to get to them. Saints, though, all over the Panthers. Alvin Kamara going nuts. I just saw this before we went live. 104 yards from scrimmage, the 50th game of his career with 100-plus yards from scrimmage. I don't know, Tor. Like, I was watching fucking Derek Carr's out there throwing moonshots. I never expect anything from the Saints because it feels like they're pulling the rope in 2 different directions at all time. But to go out there and stomp an NFL team, a divisional opponent, even if it is one as lackluster as the Panthers, is always the way you want to open up a season. But their offense looks good.
Carr looks more comfortable this season. I thought the deep ball to Rashid Shaheed was beautiful. I mean,
beautiful.
In first quarter, take the top off and put it there right in the basket. That's everything you want to see from your team in week 1. You want to see some type of competence with the deep ball, and they're showing that. And Bryce Young on the inverse has looked like he's never played football in his life. I mean, tragic overthrows, interception after interception. Just oddities from that Carolina team and how they're built. It doesn't seem like a team that is complementary in any way across the board.
Aaron Jones still got some gas left in the tank. Minnesota going out there and saying, hey, what about us? The hype was about they give me a Tampa Bay vibe this year. Tour, where everyone talked about the Bears the entire offseason. Of course, everyone talked about Jordan Love and his deal, and the Lions are sitting there as a team that people think can challenge for the NFC. And the Vikings like, well, I don't know. We still have an offense we can run, and we had a productive offseason, and they're looking smart for not paying Kirk right now. We do accept super chats. I want to get to these. Enoch, $20. Thank you so much. Hope all is well with you, and may the fantasy football guide shine down on blessings on your teams this glorious first football Sunday. So far, so good for the two-tone blue. I still think Atlanta is going to be able to turn this around, but I got to say, Tor, the one thing about Kirk Cousins that I've always thought is that there's times when he just seems desperate to turn the ball over, where he seems like he will not be denied, and that is exactly the vibe I got for the first, I don't know, 2.5 quarters of football I watched him play today.
It's going to be tough having to live with Kirk Cousins making Cousins decisions this year, because he's a very I think he's a stubborn quarterback in the mind of, if he's making a read 1, 2, 3, he's gonna eventually land on a decision. That's what he's gonna have to do. Good, bad, ugly, whatever it is. That's what he's gonna lock in on and do. He's not gonna improvise. He's not gonna scramble and make something happen out of thin air. With the options given on each play, he's going to have to make one of those calls. Or throw it right in the dirt, or just spike it right at the receiver's feet. I'm not terribly worried about them, but one touchdown all game is not really thrilling. Also seeing Pittsburgh drive on them in the red zone looking competent. Pittsburgh is not a good enough team to get away with beating Atlanta like this.
I disagree. Here's where I'm going to disagree with you is I think Pittsburgh knows what they are and they've accepted it, and that's why you're watching them play. Game management has a negative connotation about it, but they're running the ball on 4th down. If it's 3rd and 6, it's a draw. Like, they're not doing too much. And and TJ Watt, by the way, if you're going to go out there, Tor, and say, if we're going to win, we're going to let our best player go out there and put us on his back. That guy's on the defensive side of the ball. He's recovered a fumble. He's causing chaos left and right. And they're like, let's just do enough to control the clock, run the football. We'll get points where we can't kick field goals with our cybergenetic fucking long-legged kicker. And I think that's the formula where they can win 10 games this year.
He's had 2 strip sacks overturned by penalties in this game.
Unbelievable.
It should be a much bigger gap. Caleb McGarry was a problem. They should start Storm Norton. We got on Atlanta. Back to the Vikings.
Sorry,
Darnold looking good. He didn't have an incompletion. On Red Zone, Hansen noted that he didn't have an incompletion until 1 minute left in the second quarter. He's looked solid. The Giants look awful. They don't look. There's teams in week 1. I think it's truly preparation. It has to be at this point in the season. Not everything's fleshed out yet. All the injuries haven't happened yet. We don't know what all the teams are made of. So week 1 is strictly preparation. Do you know your assignment? What are you doing? How are you getting beat this bad? Oh, it has to be a mental assignment, a mental lapse. You're not ready for it.
Well, Sam Darnold already, to your point, 17-21, 195, 2 touchdowns, does have a pick, but Aaron Jones, 9 carries, 61 yards, gas left in the tank, confirmed gigantor. And of course, Justin Jefferson is on pace to go for 100 yards, already has a score. Here's what I feel bad for. Daniel Jones already has 2 interceptions. He's dog water. I think we're aware of that. Malik Neighbors is a talent. He's a stud. He had one where I think he was supposed to curl in, and I don't know if I'm going to give Daniel Jones the benefit of the doubt and say he meant to throw it back shoulder over the DB's head, but it certainly, Neighbors contorted himself back, caught the ball, came down, protected himself. It was a big boy play. It was a veteran wide receiver play, and he's going to be productive. I mean, I think we focus too much on fantasy, but if you drafted Malik Neighbors, he's going to get you production no matter what the gong show eventually turns into in New York that gets everybody fired by the midway point of the season.
He could be one of those wide receivers that just wills his own production, and that becomes those are fan favorite guys. That's how you become beloved. But both the LSU rookies do it well. Brian Thomas Jr. I saw had a couple big catches and a good a great touchdown catch. Good body control, got both feet down. Yeah, they both for coming off of the heels of Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, impressive first weeks in the NFL for both of them.
And I think that when you look at what the Giants are doing, when you look at what the Carolina Panthers are doing, it makes it that much more impressive that the Patriots are out there being physical, taking advantage of a Bengals team that's had a chaotic offseason. We know T. Higgins isn't playing today. We know they start slow. Go out there. You got a young head coach, players coach that you want to do well. They're competitive when a lot of these other contemporaries, these shitbox teams, Tor, have already gone out there and decided to wave the white flag.
It was a hilarious indicator today online to see who really knows football and who doesn't, and who remembers trends and who doesn't. Because I see Bengals lock this year. Bengals lock week 1. How do they not beat the Patriots by 7? Have you watched the Bengals in September the last 2 years? They're 3-5 in September from last year and the year before. They don't show up in this month. They take it easy. They take the month off, and then they start getting competitive when the juices start flowing later on. That's their MO. So seeing these doofuses trying to convince me on Cincinnati covering, no, I'm staying away. Get the rat poison out of my face, please. You can take it and lose your money. I'm going to try to preserve mine.
All right, let's take some of these super chats. We do accept super chats here. We're here the kindness of our Barts. Bobby Double L 1999. Thank you so much. Happy week 1, you magnificent bastards. Love BTOS. Well, then hit like, you cowards. My God. What'll it take? Chat's dead. No likes. Fuck this. Thank you for the 1999 super chat. Bobby Double O, you are a gentleman and a scholar. Matthew Helm, 1999. Love the Sunday mid-afternoon show, boys. Memphis product Pollard looks good. Tor needs to get some sun. What the fuck did I say right before I got on the air with you?
I don't expect it, Matthew. I'm not going back outside. It's not happening.
Ever again?
No, never. I'll do a walk and I'll get my big chicken sandwich later on today. It doesn't count. It's not enough sun. I'm resigned inside to my couch in front of the TV for the rest of the fall and winter.
Looks like the Bills just added to their lead 31-20 over the Cardinals. Kyler Murray was Matthew Berry's fucking bell cow for this season. He's looked all right, but Josh Allen already 214, 2 touchdowns in this game. And they're doing what people thought they were going to do, Gigantor, and that's throwing the ball all over the field. Keon Coleman already has 4 catches, but Khalil Shaker's got a touchdown. Mac Hollins has a touchdown. Curtis Samuel has a catch. The only guy without a catch, you guessed it, the guy that I started at fucking tight end that I've been hanging my reputation on all season, Dalton Kincaid, completely shut out as the Bills are going offensively bonkers on the Cardinals right now.
This selfish jerk off Josh Allen needs to give James Cook the ball in the end zone. I'm sick of this. He's going to drive me up a wall all year because Cook has looked good. The Bills, I was so excited in the first half to come on this show and say the window's closed, Dukes. It's over for them. They're letting Arizona come into their house and punk them in the first half. They're bouncing back. Josh Allen is still... He surprises me. The start of every year, I get surprised at how athletic he is, how strong he is, how big his balls are, and some of the throws that he makes. It's impressive. He's for a game that was shifting towards Arizona having all the momentum. They rallied back, kept the offense moving, and have shown some good things. It's also Arizona.
Does James Conner have a touch? I know, but people were high on Arizona this year with the addition on offense of Marvin Harrison Jr., who, by the way, 1 catch for 4 yards. And people like Kyler in a year where he needs to be motivated to go out there and make his money. 15 carries, 47 yards, 3.1, and he does have a touchdown. Yes, indeed. All right, let's go ahead and thank Matthew Helm for the beautiful super chat. And he also 2 months subscriber, a member here on YouTube. Thank you. More likes, you cowards. More likes, you cowards. Words of wisdom, Lloyd. All right, Tor, a lot of people have said this over the years. If you want to be successful, you should dress for success. So then I ask you, what in the shit is this? And why in the shit, for your 100th year, would you go out at your home game and dress like you are half-ass water-headed Michigan Wolverines? What on earth led to the decision-making process? These guys are getting drug on X, the likes of which I haven't seen.
You know what? I actually like the unis. I like
piss off.
I like the midfield logo. They're opting to do something that they know looks bad just for the fun of it.
Contrarian.
They look awful, but I like that they're doing it because when Green Bay did their throwbacks, they looked terrible with the circle, the big ugly circle in the middle of the chest. The Philly light blue and yellows that they pulled out back when McNabb was there, those were disgusting. But I root for these teams to just opt to do something that has no juice, has no swag. Go out there and your team's going to be flat.
Why would you root for that? Why would you root for no juice and no swag? That is a terrible thing to root for.
Because my team doesn't have one of those awful jerseys, and the Giants suck.
True.
So I could root for their demise.
The Falcons, though, just quietly sit there and don't wear the second best uniforms in the league every year or every day, which they could. I understand why the Titans don't do it because their name isn't the Oilers, but the Falcons could be wearing the red helmets with the black jerseys every.
It should be it should be red helmet every game. It just go red helmet or the black helmet with the throwback bird. I'm getting a little sick of this kind of rounded out logo.
Tor's lying, they suck. No, he's a young man, and what young men need to do is they need to be contrarians and be different. And I understand that. It's not what I do, but it's what you do when you're young and stupid and filled with seminal vesicle fluid. We all know that we acted differently when that was going on with us. We should probably, this isn't as timely now as a couple hours old, Gigantor, but the big news of the day, Dak Prescott finally got his money. $240 million contract extension right at the buzzer. That's kind of a lot of I don't know, Tor. That's a lot of activity before he's got to watch out for Myles Garrett against the Cleveland Browns on the road. $80 million signing bonus, $60 million per year in new money. So we wondered if Dak was going to be the first $60 million man. He is. That surpasses Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Jordan Love. They are $55 million, and that keeps him in Dallas through 2028. Now, I think we could say, Tor, that when CeeDee Lamb got his bag, the writing was kind of on the wall. You're not going to give CeeDee Lamb the number one target for Dak Prescott, that type of money, if your plan is to let Dak Prescott go and draft Shedeur Sanders, whatever other shit that we've seen about the Cowboys this offseason. By the way, go Colorado. That Deion Sanders killing it. Way to go. You beat that Nebraska team last year, by the way. Oh, and by the way, Matt Rule's a first-year head coach in Nebraska as well. Just let him walk up and down your asshole.
Raiola a good quarterback, shoot. You got to keep your eye on him. The Nebraska quarterback. That was an embarrassing game, though, for Colorado. It was awful.
Well, also, you walk your kid off the field with like 3 minutes left. You're like, well, we wanted to make sure he's okay. It's like, well, everybody else stayed out on the field. Everybody else is that 3 minutes going to make a big difference for you, Coach?
I said last night they shouldn't play him for the rest of the year. He's just gonna get hurt. I genuinely am looking at that offensive line and watching him get crushed.
I don't know as much about the college game as you do, clearly, but I do know that if you march 5 brand new offensive linemen onto the field, that it's going to take several weeks for them to cohesively work together. And that's a huge risk when the year before your big problem was you couldn't keep your quarterback upright. So
I wouldn't even say it's cohesion. If my camera right here is me looking at the line of scrimmage dead on, I'd say over half of their pass plays, this is the body direction of the guards. They're turned. They're not. Okay. They are not parallel with that line of scrimmage. They suck.
I think that Deion is going to realize very quickly that just deciding to do it your own way, when the reason why people aren't doing it the way that it works because they love it, Tor. They're doing it because it fucking works.
Right.
And to think that you can completely shift a paradigm by yourself, maybe it happens once in a generation, like Bill Walsh did it. Maybe Mike Shanahan did it. Like, we see it every once in a while. A guy with no head coaching experience before he takes the Jackson State job. I don't know if he's going to do it, but that's a tale for another day. You sent me this, and I think it's worthy of at least discussion on this show, and that is the fact that I don't know what happened to Mike McDaniel in the offseason. It's not my job to actually understand what happened to him, but you need to explain to me as a young mentor, what the fuck is he going for here? What is the vibe that he's trying to put out? Game time here, that he's going to roll on Molly and head out to the discotheque.
He's trying to be Mr. Miami. Yeah, Mr. Miami, I guess. He's trying to be quirky cool is the vibe he's going for. Oh, look, okay. I'm kind of a dorky, but I got I got money. I'm a head coach. I'm a football guy, but it's played down. No, it's not. You're just becoming a distraction for your team that hasn't looked good today. To Jacksonville, a team with plenty of questions, an offense at times. Watching Tua in the first half was getting teeth pulled. He didn't look sharp. The offense doesn't look sharp. I know Tyreek Hill had a big touchdown since we've been on this stream. It's a bad look, man. Just be a head coach. But these guys desperately don't want to just be a coach.
Right.
Every rapper wants to be a ball player. Every ball player wants to be a rapper.
You think he wants to be a rapper?
He wants to not be himself, or he wants to be the Mr. Everything. I don't know. He's in Miami. He sees Pitbull wearing the glasses. Pitbull, but he's not buying a field like Pitbull did at FIU. You don't have Mike McDaniel is never going to have Dale in the end zone. There's levels.
I don't know what
to
is
it.
that. The fuck does that mean? Would you fucking? I don't speak Spanish. Will you do me a favor? Would you fucking realize that you didn't give Mike Tomlin all this crap when he came out with some cool fucking aviators when he first was becoming head coach? You're doing this because this kid's a dweeb and he looks like a dweeb. Well, I mean, this is a bit of a shoving him in the locker by big tough football guy Gigantor, is it not? That's not fair.
I think it's fair if you're head coaching a football team and I don't see you wearing socks. That is a fair criticism if you're on the sidelines. You're not walking to go get lunch with the bros, okay? You're a leader of men. You're coaching these millionaires to try to be inspired and win a football game, the hardest sport on earth, and you're showing up in a sweatsuit and no socks. That is unbelievable.
If you're a leader of men, I think we should be able to see your socks at all time. I do stand shoulder to shoulder with you on that statement, Gigantor. I don't see you going this hard on any guys that are built like Dan Campbell or Bill Cowher or Mike Singletary, any of those guys.
You know what? If I see Bill O'Brien walk out with a big iced out chain, I'll be sure to make note of it and tear him down as well.
What do you make of Dak getting this deal right before this game? And I would ask because Jamar didn't get his deal right before this game. The Bengals are known to come out flat, but the Cowboys are known to come out in weird spots and be flat as well. I don't like the way the Cowboys and the 49ers do business. I don't like the notion of we're going to push it all the way to the very end. And then we've got to go out and do this very complicated thing, which is win a game in the NFL against 52 other guys that are pros that want blood. I want all of my players focused on what's happening right then and now. They're not. They're focused on Dak. They're focused on what happened with Tyreek. They're focused on what happened with Jamar before this. I just don't think that's the right way to run a franchise.
My first reaction to seeing the Dak Prescott getting paid is, what's the message that Jerry was trying to send? What was he trying to tell Dak? Like, hey, we're starting up the season. We want to have this on good terms. You're our guy. You've always been our guy. Or is it, hey, here's the money.
Right.
Go win this game. We're underdogs against Cleveland. Go win this game. I just paid you. I don't know what that message is and how Dak's receiving it, because they had a little bit of tension all season, which was bad. So if he goes out and wins, winning will heal all. But I directly went, what was Jerry trying to mean by this?
Right. If you're a leader of men, I should be able to see your socks at all times, Dukes 316. Technically, it was Tor's initial statement. I just can co-sign it. All right, so Tyreek Hill was arrested on the way to the football game. He appeared to be driving, was it a Lamborghini? I didn't pick up that. It was very expensive supercar. And, of course, they're on the way to a Dolphins game, and the most famous player in the building is getting his face pushed into the pavement. Everybody's got their cell phone out, so there's all these videos. And his agent came out. Is it Rosenhaus? I think is his agent.
Yeah,
Drew
came out Rosenhaus.
And was fucking, of course, defending his client on TV. And you're supposed to do that. He's your agent. But
He's
Robert,
the sweatiest man in America today. I mean, drenched in sweat, which is how I would want my agent.
Bro, they're in South Florida. Did you get into the comments at all on that video? People are like, why are they both so sweaty? It's like, are you out of your fucking mind? It's 90 degrees outside my house right now. What do you think it's like down in South Florida? They're like, hold your breath. You'll be in Cuba. Good Lord. All right, I wanted to get to this. This is our buddy Robert Griffin III immediately deciding that he's Atticus Finch and he knows what's going on with law enforcement.
This is one of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen. This is Tyreek Hill, Miami Dolphins superstar receiver. And this is him being detained as he's entering the stadium to play in a football game.
He's inferring that because he's a superstar receiver and he's going to a football game that there's no way he should be detained, right? Am I reading that correctly, or am I reading too much into that?
I think right now he's just kind of giving he's setting the table, but his tone is letting you know where he's going with it.
Okay. Yeah, he doesn't seem like he's going to be pro Tyreek Hill getting arrested, even though we have very little information.
There's no way on God's green earth that this level of aggression from the police is warranted for a guy who had a minor traffic violation entering the stadium.
This happened hours ago. How could you possibly know that? All the reports I saw that Tyreek Hill got into a verbal altercation with the arresting officers, and that's why it indeed went to that level. Look, I get it. Looking at it on video, it's like, Jesus Christ, everyone knows who this guy is. He's on his way to a football game. it's 1,000,000 degrees outside. Why is he on the ground in handcuffs? Like, we can all have those questions, but I don't think anybody could say anything definitively right now, Gigantor.
Yeah, not enough has come out about it. I would not make a definitive, oh, here's what happened here after. And no matter how much reading I did, I would not have gone and jumped into it and made a video claiming about what happened.
I'm not a big fan of hovering fucking disembodied RG3 head either. I don't know if that's the best look.
I mean, do
I
you
don't
guys
like-
know how
yeah.
hard
You like it?
I don't like hat in September, RG3.
Wool hat in fucking early September is a tough thing to pull off.
that street is? That asphalt down there in Miami
Asphalt.
is? I mean, come on, man. Look at this. They're going to sit there, have him on his side like he's a criminal, then sit him down on the ground.
Well, technically, isn't he a criminal? I mean, because he did get arrested. I mean, he's been arrested for some pretty stiff charges in the past, domestic battery and the like. And look, he went through the legal process and he's able to perform his job. I'm not holding that against him, but if you are going to sit here and ask why the police act a certain way and they know this guy has either no track record or a fairly checkered track record, it might have something to do with the treatment as well.
What did he go when you told him to stop too fast? You're gonna see his teammates start driving up. People are like, yo, wait, that's Tyreek Hill getting detained by the police right before the stadium, right before a game. They walk him over to the side. His teammates are trying to come to his rescue or trying to figure out what's going on. And the cops go and aggressively sit him back down on the ground again. For what?
Well, we don't know, but what if they told him to sit down and he didn't? They're going to sit him back. I've had this happen to me. If you mishear a police officer and you don't do what they say, they will force you to do what they say. Look, I get it. There's all kinds of mainstream politically charged fucking back and forths about the way that law enforcement react. What I think is not the right way to go about this, Tor, is to take 3 or 4 cell phone videos, very little information, and assume that we know what the proper narrative is. The part that is 100% undeniable is, my God, for that to happen before a football game where all the fans and all the players are going into it, it doesn't surprise me that the Miami Dolphins could come out flat after something like that.
It wouldn't surprise me that Miami Dolphins fans would be angry. So, hey, this is a pretty important guy for our team, just from the fan perspective. Let him in the stadium, no matter what he was doing. But if the police officers in Dade County felt like they had something that they needed to do or check with him or, really deal with him about, then that's their business at that moment. I don't have the info. Nobody has that real info yet. I don't know if there was a yelling, screaming match. All I know is that Kirk Cousins just threw a back-breaking interception right in front of me.
He's been wanting to do it all day, and he's living up to his goals and dreams and aspirations. Big verbal nod going out to KC and the Dirty. I don't coach football, but I manage a fairly large team of IT professionals, and I wear socks up to my knees. Matthew Helm, 1999. If they could get socks that actually connect to your belt, that's what I want most people to wear. Most dudes that like Money Monk that like to go out there and show you their bony, fucking disgusting feet. Please be connecting the tube socks. I would even say go as far as the armpits, Tor. If you want to wear like a shoulder holster and connect your socks to that to make sure that those bad boys don't droop down to Mike McDaniel categories.
It's a long John Winter, I guess, just from toes to bows.
Yeah. A lot of, let's see, he said Hill has 6 receptions, 130 yards and a touchdown, so it didn't affect him that much. No, I would be very surprised if a guy like Tyreek Hill, as competitive as he is, would not be fired up by something like this and go out there and ball his ass off.
I would say that the next precaution that would come out of this that Miami would need to do is let's get our players their own road. Let's find a way to make it as easy as possible for players to get to the stadium. That's all. That's what
their
I would
own road. You want to build. You want to completely redo the infrastructure of the city of Miami and build a players only road.
Yeah, Marino Way. Let's just set it up when we get within 1.5 miles of the stadium.
I did want to ask you about, what did you think about the big controversy with McAfee this week, where they were poking fun at the fact that the Bengals, the Cincinnati Bengals, have to walk across a road to get to their practice bubble, and they're clowning on them. And I guess the Bengals lost their minds and went out there and said, you're not allowed to take pictures and we're not going to have open practice. Like, they were really pissed off that they were poking fun at that. I'm like, you're a fucking franchise. Your entire reputation is your cheap fucking skinflints, and you followed bass backwards into this amazing team with these amazing players. It's like, why don't you act like you've been to an event like this before? Come in looking like James Bond. You don't always have to come in looking like you bought your shoe to Kohl's the night before.
Yeah, the walking across the street, that doesn't bother me. A lot of teams, even they have long ramps to their practice facility from their facility, even if it's on their own team compound, basically. Like that's not something that I read too much into. Crossing the street, I actually thought it was kind of like, I thought it would be kind of cool if I'm driving around Cincinnati and I would see a player or the team. Oh, okay, what's going on? Oh, they're going to practice. Yeah, okay, I'll wait a couple minutes for them to cross. Like that's something that I don't think would bother me. And I think would make me feel a little more connected to the team itself. So making fun of that seemed like it was a little bit low hanging fruit because the video was, it was kind of goofy. Like, okay, I'm on the sidewalk and here come $1 million men going into the facility. But it looked
$1
cool.
million man, Ted DiBiase, was he there? I would have been steamed up.
I don't believe he was there, but the sensitivity for Cincinnati to react like that it's a little outrageous. Like, just give it a break. All right. It wasn't that big of a deal. It's a nothing story right before season.
I like that it's kind of old school. I like that it's kind of, it reminds you of, training camp from back in the 70s or even the 60s where these guys had day jobs and they're showing up and smoking lung darts and drinking fucking tall boys on the way there. I thought it was a cool look. And also Cincinnati, your reputation is more than just video of those guys walking across the street. Your reputation was well earned. The Bears Tor have scored 14 points in the fourth quarter. Levis threw a pick. He only has 105 yards. By the way, Caleb Williams, 13 of 28, 94 yards. So the season starting very much the way it ended for Chicago last year. That defense looks like it's going to be good enough to put that team on its back and carry them to some victories.
Yeah, they are. They put a lot of resources into the entire team, and I think they built it well. I think that the D line is good, the DBs are good, the receivers are good, and once Caleb gets more comfortable playing at the full speed NFL level, we'll have to see what he says after the game, because expecting a Justin Field answer where it was, the game is slower than I thought it was going to be. I don't expect that to happen. I think he's a smart enough guy to say, yeah. We got some stuff to work out. I hope it's a lot of coach speak out of him after the game.
Titans rebuilt that offensive line in the offseason, including investing their first overall pick for that team and a tackle. They paid the most for a center at the time any team has. They've allowed 3 sacks, 6 punts. Both teams have a bunch of penalties. And I want to say this, Gigantor. I said it last year. I'm going to say it again this year. The NFL's got to be very, very careful with how I read all of the back and forth about all the misalignment penalties that were called in that Baltimore game against Kansas City at the first. Now, they were warned, and we're going to emphasize this. It's like, well, you're emphasizing something that the teams don't seem to be aware of. Oh, and by the way, it completely slows down the game. And once again, Tor puts the emphasis on the officials and puts the emphasis on the analysis of the officials. This continues to confound me why the league wants to focus on and the coverage of the league wants to focus so much on the officials.
The Warren Sharp had a good tweet after the first 2 games. Says there were 30 combined penalties between the two, and which is ridiculous. There should not be 30 combined penalties versus for the 2 most premier games to start off the season. The offensive tackles lining up in the backfield, it should be an easy fix for these teams. Yeah. It's the offensive tackle trying to get an edge against a really fast edge rusher. It's what they're trying to do. They're trying to cheat within the rules. They're saying no more of this. Okay, you can either, I think it became the meetings in the offseason where, all right, we're either going to let them try to time the tackles and have everyone say, oh, how is that not a false start? Or we're going to let them line up in the backfield like an off-ball tight end and have people wonder how they have that little people on the line of scrimmage. So they're trying to make their decision on where to lean with that. I'm fine. I think the offensive tackles should be on the line of scrimmage. It's just something that you can't really get away with. And when it's pointed out, oh, that's pretty obvious.
If we have a nominee for the most egregious penalty of the season thus far, I believe it has to be this one. This is Kyler Murray going down and a DB looking to completely slide over the top. This was called roughing the passer, Gigantor.
The default of quarterback slide, and there's not a defensive player just that can go over the quarterback or try to avoid it. These officials don't care about nuance or intent or making a good judgment call. It's right. Well, okay, I saw that happen, so I got to throw this flag. I need to throw this flag just because I saw I saw the quarterback slide and a defender went near him. It's ridiculous.
I think that, and this is what I put up there when it happened on the both types sports. If you're not following us on Twitter and Instagram, both types sports, go ahead and follow and hit the like button, you cowards. The biggest threat to the league right now is the officials. And I know that sounds like political grandstanding tour, like it's something bombastic you're saying to try to invoke. I don't think anything can take this league down. The Colin Kaepernick protest didn't take the league down, Deflategate, the concussions, all of the social issues that have surrounded this. This league is for the most part bulletproof. The domestic violence for guys with domestic violence. Remember how much shit anyone would get if you had any type of a player that even the cops were called on them and domestic violence was mentioned. They've survived it all in one of the most politically charged eras I can remember in our life. If you continue to allow shit like this to happen, what you're saying is, and the kickoffs is another great example. The kickoff rule we know that it has failed with very few data points. I mean, we've got 1/2 of a week's worth of evidence to show us that kickoff rule is not doing. Everyone's just taking knees. It's like you had a chance to fix this and push that out to the 35. What this says is we're trying to change what makes this sport what everybody likes to watch. And you don't have to come out and say it or issue a press release. You just have to have your employees continue to call penalties like this, and then we all fucking know it. So that's why I really think the power that they have enabled these officials with to make calls like this, that's the biggest threat to this league finally having their bubble burst, if that ever does happen.
It's the very slow drip. It's the water torture. It is just, they're just going to keep on just tapping that hammer, beating you over the back of the head with that little hammer, and eventually the skull is going to crack, and it's going to be flag, and which is really unfortunate. It sucks to think that the most interesting part of this game is getting eroded out of it. It sucks. The officials that don't call it are getting lambasted on Twitter for being calloused, and the officials that do are being called weak call. So they've perfectly positioned themselves to make this an issue where it will have to lead to an immediate eradication of the rule one way or another. Either we go back to the nice, fun, barbaric nature of this sport, which I want to
fun,
do,
barbaric,
or we go into the Guardian shell cap era of the sport where it's overly protected and it's just going to be a slower, more boring game, but we won't be able to tell because the coverage is so immense and there will be enough commercials to satisfy the TV overlords.
How many how many players actually went out and wore Guardian caps today? I didn't see any.
I have counted 2. Jabril Peppers for the Patriots has one on, and one of the offensive linemen, the right guard for the Steelers, has one on.
Okay. Checking out some of these scores right here. 2 minutes to go in Texans Colts. This is a barn burner tour. 29-27 Houston right now. Both of the young quarterbacks looking pretty goddamn good. Anthony Richardson has 2 touchdowns. He also has a touchdown rushing. He leads the team in rushing. CJ Stroud, 2 touchdowns, 222 yards. Joe Mixon has looked dope. Stephon Diggs had his first touchdown as a Houston Texans. Nico Collins has 100 yards. I mean, if Richardson can stay healthy, if Stroud can stay healthy, I'm not moved by Trevor Lawrence the same way other people are. Like, I need to see him be more dynamic, I think, on a consistent basis, despite the fact that I believe he was the highest paid quarterback in the league for a cup of coffee. Levis is there. I mean, the potential for the AFC South to have really, really exciting young quarterbacks going up against each other all season is intoxicating. I just hope they can all stay out there.
Yeah, Richardson, he just ran one in. It was a very powerful run, and that an Anthony Richardson run that Colts fans are looking for and we're hoping for. That is exciting, strong, fast. And that first touchdown he threw was magical. I mean, high arc, deep, just showed off, just flexed the arm strength. It brought me back to his combine where he, everyone has to do it if you got the big enough arm, where they hit the big jumbotron in Indianapolis because they could throw it that high, so they had to. He showed that there was some value in it in the game. Impressive first week from him.
Tell you what is not impressive right now is the Dolphins only having 17 points, 17-17, tied with the Jaguars. Chain, I think, got knocked out of that game at one point. That's a big game for both of these teams because both of these teams are looking at a situation where they have a shitload to prove. There was regression last year from Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville after Doug Peterson's first season. You kind of thought they were going to be the class of the division, and then the Texans absolutely superseded them. And the Dolphins, Tor, they got to get, this is a hot weather game in Florida against a winnable opponent. Like, I know they want to play better when it's cold out. I know they want to be able to go on the road and win in the postseason, but it starts with you motherfuckers. I got to wait for you not needing to do that. Win 14 games and make everybody come down and sweat their ass off in your building, and then you don't have to go that route to win a Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, unfavorable scheduling in week 1 to schedule another Florida team to go play in Florida. So you don't even have the weather advantage there. You could, if I was the Dolphins, I'd be, give me every northern team, everything above that border, send them down in the first 8 weeks. That's the only way they'll be fun.
47 points for the Saints, 47-10 over the Panthers. At some point, Tor, if I'm the league, I get involved. Like, we spent all this time talking about the league getting involved with Dan Snyder. It's like, hey, look, man, I know Florio plays that you threw a drink at your fans too much, and the owner stopping by the bar to ask why they have a sign up about the Panthers. It's like, how about we worry about the fact that you don't field a competitive football team? And it doesn't matter who you hire as the head coach or draft as a quarterback. You're incapable of putting a product on the field that's even competitive. I don't know. At some point, the owner should get together and have a goddamn meeting about that guy.
It'll be interesting to see maybe in a couple years how we look at that trade between the Bears and the Panthers and whether it's the worst draft trade of all time. And it just for how much the Bears got and how little the Panthers got out of Bryce Young.
Check out DJ's Moore line today, because it was not just that too, because it put them on the right path. Then Montez Sweat came after that tour. I mean, it was like that trade is the backbone of 15 other moves that the Bears made to put themselves in a position to be super competitive in their franchise quarterback's rookie year. So, yeah. But David Tepper, like, if you're going to have all of this consternation and hand-wringing about Dan Snyder and the fact that, you know, they're ogling chicks at the park, like, I get that. But this guy is odd and as high-strung and as insecure as anybody, and the team is beyond embarrassing. I don't know what you can do, but you got to do something. All right. What else? I had one last one here. Where was it? Oh, yeah. If you're talking about blowouts, and you're talking about teams being non-competitive, I think that some of that comes with week 1. I think some of that you can kind of crumble. Like, if I was in Tor's position and I was a Falcons fan, or the Commanders go down to Tampa Bay and they beat Tampa Bay, right? Like, I don't think then you can just pencil in, well, that means Washington's competing for the NFC East, and that means Tampa Bay's been a fraud this whole time. With the preseason being as mitigated as it has been, towards, I feel like a lot of these guys didn't get any playing time whatsoever, and less contact and rule changes. I think we're going to need in a longer season to get to the, getting towards midseason before we finally get the identities of these teams. It's, it's what we saw with Baltimore last year.
It's the repercussions of not practicing as hard in the off season. You're not doing the hitting. You're not building up your body to be truly, battle hardened. So it takes until 10 weeks before we see these guys really in pristine form. I will be bummed today because my team fucking sucks and they're awful and they're at home. And they're at home and they lose to the coach that tanked 3 years and burned 3 years of my life. But it's not the end of the season. And I think I'll wake up tomorrow and I'll rewatch the game. I'll turn on the film. I'll say, okay, these are the 5 plays that I don't think that they make or that I hope they don't make in week 8. Just eliminate some of the silly mistakes, move on, and then I can have a rational sensibility of it. But seeing literally the team losing to only a kicker scoring points is enough to make me want to rip my eyeballs out of my head.
Bigger debut this week: Xavier Worthy for the Chiefs or Saquon Barkley for the Eagles?
Oh, that's a fantastic question.
Thank you. It's almost like I did this for a living not that long ago.
I'd say Worthy.
I think you're right. I was going to say the same thing.
His plays were damn impressive when he got the ball on the end around. It was lightning fast. And it just made me angry seeing how good he was, because the Bills dealing with, and I talked to this dummy that I live with that says that's not he. They operated in the draft. It wouldn't matter. They still could have got Worthy. If I'm the Buffalo Bills, there's nothing I am doing. Every move that I'm doing, I'm considering if the Chiefs can benefit from it. That's how I would operate. There's no subterfuge. There's no everyone's just working together now in harmony. Why do you keep getting your ass beat in the playoffs? Because you keep on helping them, and you gave them Xavier Worthy, who's a stud. He's the fastest player you've ever seen in your life.
Dude, and the way they're using him with the end arounds, and then he does a bit. I hate this bit. Tyreek Hill does this bit. Dante Hall. I mean, they're receivers that take a normal, okay, that's 13 yards, and all of a sudden they're in the end zone. All of a sudden they're 13 yards up well, how did he? Because they've got otherworldly speed, and you gave one of those guys to a team that knows how to use a guy like that. And
that's the thing. Yeah,
didn't need the fucking help.
You're not sticking him in Seattle where he just, he'd be a fine wide receiver. He'd be fast. He'd catch some touchdowns. You're sticking him on a team with the most innovative and creative play design that we've seen in the last 5 years. What how they've used Patrick Mahomes and the receivers that he's had, they shouldn't have success, but they do because they've kind of revolutionized how they pass the ball and in the mixed looks that they give. They're not doing this overly motioning bullshit. They're actually creative. And they know how the football game lives and breathes as its own entity. And giving them a tool like a piece like that and Xavier Worthy is just dangerous. It's just dangerous for the whole league.
And by the way, R.I. Fish, Jaden Reed, we hardly knew you. Poor bastard, 4 receptions, 138 yards, and a touchdown with Jordan Love. Now you got Malik Willis for 6 fucking weeks. Can you imagine the boner that just completely envelops back inside your body if you have that guy in fantasy?
Christian Watson, meet Mr. Bench.
Holy shit.
You're making my decisions easier.
We'll check in again after Halloween, big man. But and not to disrespect Saquon going nuts because he looks comfortable and he looks like afterburners. But the Eagles have had fast pass catching running backs tour since I've been alive. Starting with Brian Westbrook all the way up to, you go Darren Sproles, go through all the fun guys they've had. I don't know that this puts them over the top. That's a big win, though. Big win over a Packers team on the road. Everybody's uncomfortable. They have a lot to prove, considering that after they lost their offensive coordinator, they look like a completely different team down the stretch, and Jalen Hurts had all those questions. That's a big win for them this week.
It's the problem with Philly after week 1 is the Jalen Hurts looked sloppy at times, and right. I don't know if this is a league now where the running backs can be the bailout system for the quarterback. I need the quarterback to be the bailout to set up the running back, not the other way around. Because that touchdown catch that he had was a Hail Mary ball. However I look at it, it's he just threw it up, and he threw it up to a running back, not a very tall running back, not a running back that's been noted to be exceptional on the outside in jump balls. So I didn't love that decision, but he got bailed out because Saquon is a great athlete.
Houston looks like they're going to hold on to win. Dolphins go up. They win the game against Jacksonville 2017 amidst all that controversy. Saints, of course, big winners. Looks like the Raiders and the Chargers are kicking off here. I believe the Titans pissed down the side of their leg as well. What are you going to do? Shit happens. And I guess Parlay Popes wants to rub that in. Hey, man, if you want to send a $20 super chat, you can talk as much shit as you want. It ain't going to affect my afternoon. Sorry, Dukes. Hell of a collapse from Levis and the Titans. Da Bears. Cheers to a fun week 1. Yeah, I mean, look, that's what's great about being a Titans fan. I'm happy if they win, and if they don't, I'm happy because the Rams and the Lions are playing tonight, and I got a bunch of money and Cooper Kupp on the line. So, yay. Very, very excited. Oh, Headlock Gaming checking in from Maryland. Good to see you, Headlock. What are you doing up there? Parlay Pups, thank you for the $20 super chats. Thank you to all of our super chatters. Tor, do you think you have time to throw this up on the podcast or no?
Yeah, I could do that.
Oh, you're a good man. I appreciate that. All right. I don't know if we're going to do this every single week, but I do know you should be subscribed on YouTube and you should be subscribed on iTunes and Spotify to both types of sports. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. You can always figure out if we're going live both types sports, and you'll never miss out on Tor's misery because they have a 40-year-old kneeless man throwing massively fucking bamboozling interceptions week in and week out.
Yeah. Subscribe. Check it out. Check out the show.
You know what Kirk just should have said to Drake, the fucking what's his name? Drake London? Is that the kid's name?
Yeah.
Or Kyle Pitts? You know what he should have said to them?
What should he said?
Go long.
Hey, what do you got?
Both types of sports.
Yeah, what's it do? Go long. Real long. Because
Both types of